of wasting time on Instagram, not saying that you're wasting time on Instagram, but are there any particular social media networks that help you network better when you can't be around people?
Instagram.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Yes.
Because most of the clientele that I built was people to people. You know, I'm go to events and I network that way, or referrals, and I meet at, you know, a coffee shop, or we go out to eat or something like that. But now that, you know, that has kind of cut back, a lot of people, what I've learned is that Instagram is not necessarily for promoting yourself. Like, it's not just like, oh, look what I can do, but it's connecting with those people who do the same thing that you do.
Yes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like, if I see somebody grinding and I see somebody, you know, producing or whatever, and song, you know, dope at songwriting, yeah, I'll reach out. Man, I love your stuff. Like, let's connect sometime. And, you know, and I really pay attention to the vibe. So if I get on a phone call with somebody, I pay attention to that kind of stuff, because I don't like wasting people's time, and I don't like wasting my own time.
Facts.
You know, so if I talk to you people to people, and usually that's what I would do, but we wouldn't even touch the studio for our first, you know, meet. We would go out to eat, or we would go coffee shop or something like that, so I can get to know who you are as a person. Exactly.
Yeah.
Get to know who you are as a person. And so when we sit down across from each other and we talk, and I can connect with you, you can connect with me, and we feel that vibe, then we know when we go into the studio, our creative minds are going to connect. And if I'm sitting across from you and it's just like awkward and it's weird, you know, I'll tell them, like, you know what, I'm not the producer for you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm 100. I've done that so many times. Like, I'm 100 with people. Like, you know what, I'm not the producer for you. You know, because I've made mistakes where I brought people into the studio and it was just like a waste of time.
Yeah.
A whole waste of time. And it was just like, I'm not doing this ever again. Not doing this ever again. Right. But through Instagram, I've networked with producers. I've linked with a lot of different artists. Because one, they see work that I've done with other artists and they're like, yo, I really want to work with you. So yeah, Instagram's usually is pretty much my my business builder pretty much right now.
Yeah, I agree. Like, for me, I follow a lot of art pages, so I can I just like a lot of art, a lot of painting. I do that just for fun.
Yeah.
But there's
modest. She's actually really good.
Appreciate it.
Got to show some stuff, man. Let me see what you got.
Yeah, I'll show you some. But so I mean, there's this one artist, for example. He posted these pictures and they were really cool. Our very first episode, which will hopefully come out soon, once I buckle down and edit this shit. We're talking about social media. Have millennials murdered social media? And he posted this picture of this girl who is pretty much doing coke, but she's sniffing likes, like Instagram likes.
Oh.
Wow.
So now
that's creative.
I would never like to. I just feel like to respect the artists, if you want to use any of their content for promoting your content, best way is obviously ask for permission. So I'm so I'll just find artists that post this really cool stuff, and I'll just kind of slide into DMs and be like, hey, this is what I'm doing. Is it cool if I use some of your artwork? Obviously I'm giving you credit for it, but I just think this really speaks to this particular thing that I'm trying to do, and I would really like to maybe showcase it on my page if that's cool. And not usually they'll say yes if they reply, and they'll be like, oh, well, that sounds like an interesting podcast idea. Let me know when it's out because I'll take a listen. So I'm getting listeners just by trying to just networking for my social media network to promote my show. So do you do a lot of DM sliding, or do they slide into your DMs?
Yeah, I used to do that a lot, where I would reach out to artists and stuff like that at the beginning stages of me trying to build my network and stuff like that. But one thing that I've learned, I forgot who it was, but somebody told me the people that you need to know are the people that are around you right now.
Yeah.
Yo,
And so
when
when that hit home with me, that made me realize, like, okay, I have a network of people who also have a network of people.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so it's like for me to try to reach out to like a Timbaland or a Pharrell, like, hey man, I want to work with you. It's just like, okay, I don't know anybody in their camp, so they're just gonna be like, okay, pass.
Plus,
You know,
plus,
but
like right now, like you doing what you're doing right now, you're gonna get to that level where he's gonna notice you. You know what I'm saying? So you don't gotta worry about reaching out right now.
Exactly. And so I mean, I've built
get on his radar.
Right. I've built some crazy networks. I know, you know, a lot, especially living in LA, like you can rub shoulders with celebrities all day out here.
Everybody.
And so I've worked with some, you know, high-end clients and stuff like that. And now my network, their network is my network, because they're telling me, you know, telling other people about me now. And so it's not necessarily cold calling is what you know what it is. It's just like, okay, you know, I've seen your work, I've seen what you could do. How can we benefit each other? You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like even your side of it, like you're showing a benefit to those people. So they're like, yo, heck yeah, let me jump on board. You know what I'm saying? And so that's fire. But yeah, as far as networking, like usually it's more people that I know or people that I know's people that I network with now. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, you know, Nova, we did this, blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, you did that record? Heck yeah, let's link. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
and I think that's like a way easier approach than trying to, like, not saying that it's bad to like aim high, and like if you want to work with a person, artist, you know, obviously like go for it and aim for it. But I think maybe like keeping it small and like slowly building your network out this way versus like trying to be all the way out here and then, like, you know, I don't really know how you would like.
Not even there yet.
Right.
But it just like makes it so you're not like banging your head up against the wall trying to get clients and you're wondering like, why am I not getting anybody? And it's like, maybe I guess cast what was it, like a wider net or something?
Yeah.
Right. I'm trying to like find the words and like a good analogy, but I see what you're saying. Like, I think that's like a smart strategy to kind of like work with who you already know so you can continue to like put content out there. They know people, and then their people will listen to your stuff, and then their people will know some more people, so then you like slowly start.
Exactly.
Because it's all about building your team. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
what it's about. Yep.
It's about building your team. By building your team, you build your network. Because like, I mean, there's a lot of people out there, they're doing it all on their lonely, which nothing's wrong with that, you know what I'm saying? But when you have numbers, when you have people that are, you know, willing to ride for you and you guys are in it together, it's a lot more effective out there. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Right. And like, I'm learning that right now. I mean, I'm pretty, and I love my co-host to death, because I know I was saying earlier that, like, you know, if you sort of like have all of these skills that would benefit you, so you don't have to like, you know, if you like don't have anybody, then you can just kind of do it yourself and like kind of figure it out. But that shit gets overwhelming. I mean, like, kind of like be creative, and you're switching from like one side of the brain to the next, and then it just kind of feels like crammed and like forced, or you just kind of get tired and you maybe like don't, you know, put out as much as you would like because you're kind of handling everything yourself. So I totally agree. Like, building
that's what it is. And I mean, I was there at a point where, you know, I didn't have the engineers that I'm linked with now. I didn't have the producers that I'm linked with now. I didn't have the songwriters that I'm linked with now. So I felt like I had to do everything. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, it gets overwhelming to the point where it starts to stifle your creativity, because it's like, okay, I just wrote and produced a song for this artist. We recorded it, and now I got to take my ears off of it to go back and mix it, and then I got to take my ears off of it to go back and master it, and then we got to work on distribution and releasing and marketing and stuff like that. And it's just like you start to you stretch yourself too thin.
It is.
Yeah, and like I was saying, like I love my co-host, but she's just kind of like a little technologically challenged, and I'm just now beginning too. So it's literally like what's happening is I'm learning how to record remotely and just soaking up all this information. Then I'm trying to like communicate it to her the best way that I know how, and trying to teach her how to do it, and then edit, and then what about our social media marketing? And then she's kind of like, well, I'm not really sure, and I'm like, ah, shit. I was like, I guess
one more thing I gotta think about.
Right. I mean, like, which is fine, because I think, all of that is kind of like a learning curve, and I think it's just like about patience too.
Yeah, and that's what I was about to say. I was like, it takes patience, and you got to know that it's gonna take time. You know what I'm saying? Because eventually down the road, you never know. Like you may link with somebody who's a specialist at editing videos or editing podcasts, and you network with them, and they just want to be a part of the team. You know what I'm saying? And that takes something off of your shoulder. And then you may link with somebody who does audio engineering or whatever it may be, and you don't even have to touch that. All you have to do is what you're special at. You know what I'm saying? So like, okay, you just getting in front of the camera, you just getting in front of the mic and talking about what you talk about, hit record. Once it's done, you send it off to the people who are specialists at it. You know what I'm saying? And you go on to the next project. So that's what it's about. So even for me, it's the same way. I'm at a point where I was at a point where I felt like I had to do everything. Now I'm at a point where I have engineers. I have mixing engineers. I have mastering engineers. I have songwriters I can send a beat to. They send it back and we can record it. Or I can send a song to a mixing engineer and I don't even have to worry about that, you know?
Right. So it's like, but it's fine though, because, and it's just like, she's great. She studied criminology and like sociology. So she has like a good mind for, a social issues podcast. But then when it comes to like the
tech side of it, she's like
it's like all and I'm like, I'm like, let me send you like a mock-up of what this, what the story should look like, and then like coming up with a social media plan, and then just kind of like trying to, shove it this way.
Yeah, I get it.
Well, one thing I've told Stephanie this before, is like, at the end of the day, like, I think it's dope to see people's progression over time. So like, you're not going to be perfect, or everything ain't going to be exactly how you want it in the beginning, but sometimes it's good just to get that start.
Exactly.
So then people can see it over time. You know what I'm saying? And, And just know that, it's okay. You know what I'm saying? It's like you said, like you can't master everything, but as long as you do the best that you can, and it gives you time to like, because I kind of think it's bad when you start off like straight perfect, because you have nothing to ascend to.
Yeah, you have nothing to grow to.
Yeah, you have and then your expectation is already up there too.
Yeah, right. It's like, to me, like, say for instance, like Kendrick Lamar wasn't as good as he is, right? And like he just put out Good Kid, Mad City, and like, you know what I'm saying, he knew he couldn't do anything bigger than that. He would have
maxed out.
Right, exactly.
And then like you stop being inspired, and like you don't learn anything. And I think like when you're not learning anything, it's easy to kind of get like complacent and bored, and then whatever it is,
you lose inspiration.
Like, okay, well, this is cool. Like, I've mastered this.
Right.
Awesome. It's like
coming too easy. It's not challenging you anymore.
Right. One thing that I was gonna say that you're actually doing, which is good, it's a positive thing, is that you're learning all the tools. So when you talk, you get somebody who's a specialist at what they do, you can have those conversations. You know what I'm saying? So for me, Exactly. For me, one thing that was a big deal before I moved to LA was that I wanted to, I mean, even before I went to school for music and stuff like that, I wanted to learn the lingo. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I always knew it. Like, yeah, I can mess around with it and get it sounding the way I want it to sound, and it's cool. But until I learn exactly what it is and why it does this, if I walk into a studio, you know what I'm saying, and I don't know the lingo, I'm gonna be sitting there and looking lost, you know?
Right. And then it also, you know, makes you look more credible as well.
Exactly.
When somebody asks you what you do and you tell them, and then they start shooting off all of these things, all these like terms, and you're like, what the fuck does that mean?
Right.
Right. I was and Zell remembers, so I was like I was like into photography for a while, because I had like an internship, and I was actually like shooting and cutting promo videos for like in Marietta. And then I started taking stills, and people were like, yeah, you're good at it. And so like in my practical brain, I'm like, okay, well, if I'm good at it, then like I might just like stick to this. And it kind of flatlined because I don't know. I was like, I didn't know what the hell my why was. I just kind of fell into it, didn't really have a purpose behind it. So when I would go to these like meetups and stuff, and people would start saying things like, what's your ISO? And like, what's your like, I like this mirrorless, you know, camera because, you know, the interface is this and that. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, I don't know.
What are they talking about? Right.
But like, I mean, I can shoot in manual, but I can't, you know, go to somebody and then like talk a whole like camera setup.
Yeah, the whole lingo. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. But like you said, you know, it shows credibility. And so you right now learning the editing side of it, you right now learning all the things that you have on your shoulders right now. When it comes to somebody saying like, hey, you know, I saw some stuff that you did, and then they start talking the lingo, you can be like, oh yeah, what? I just did that the other day, and you know, respond properly. We're like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing, you know? Right. So I get it. I mean, it's a good thing. It's a good thing that you're doing.
So Devin, what was that that defining moment that kind of like made you say like, hey, I want to be like a full on like, you know, musician. Like I want to like write for people. I want to help develop artists. This is what I want to do with my life.
My defining moment was in 2008. Actually.
Okay.
2008.
That was a great year, by the way.
It was a great year, but then it was a bad year at the same time.
08 was good because we had 08 was good because we had like original Kanye. Please continue.
You're right.
Oh, fact.
You're right.
Fact. That's true.
You're right.
Yeah,
Good call. But 2008, I remember I was living in Arizona at the time, and this is before I went to school in Alabama. I was working in Arizona full time. I just got my degree in business, and I was working at a studio. And I like working, you know, at a studio and being around the environment, stuff like that. But I was always working with artists. But it was always a hobby for me. You know, it's just something that I love to do. But I remember I had a studio at my house, like it was a small little, you know, family room setup or whatever. And it was New Year's 2008, and our house got robbed, and they took all of my music. They took all of my hardware. They took my mic, my speakers, everything. And so I didn't have music. I didn't have music for 2 years, and I saw how it affected me. And I was like, I can't live without music. I can't. You know, even just thinking of it as a hobby, you know, it was just like, oh, you know, something that I love to do, and I like being around the environment. I can't live without music. And so that 2 months that I didn't have music was terrible. And so I grinded, got all my stuff back. And it was just a crazy year, that transition. And I was like, okay, you know, I really need to start getting into this and figuring this thing out, because I love it. You know, I wake up thinking about music. I go to sleep thinking about music. I'm always riding, listening to music. Like, it's just a part of me. And I feel like I always listen to music differently. I don't just listen to it in totality. I listen to the mix. I listen to where the vocals sit. I listen to how melodies are, you know, presented and stuff like that. And so it's just like, wow, like, okay, there's more in this music than what meets the eye, you know? Yeah. And I wanted to learn it. I wanted to learn how to make it sound this way. And I was just like, I need to figure this thing out. And so when I went to school for it and got all the knowledge on it and the education on it, that's when I was like, boom, this is going to be my career. I'm going to make this my career. Somehow, some way, this is going to be my career. And so that was the defining moment. When it left me was when I had that defining moment, because when I didn't have it, it was just like, what is life?
Yeah, you're like, man, like, this is a part of me. Like, I need this. You know?
Need this, yeah.
What were some of the who were some of the artists that like help you get to that point as well?
I mean, just kind of paying attention to the industry, like, you know, Timbaland and Pharrell are like my go-to producers. Those are my guys, like Timbaland, Pharrell, and older Kanye. Like, I've always loved his sample game. His sample game was always fire.
Early 2000s.
Yeah, man. Like, his sampling game was always on point. So those three producers have always been in my life from a young age.
I think the dope thing about them three too is all three of them are forward thinkers. Like, you listen to their music and like, especially like Timbaland and Pharrell, like, it's like their stuff is still futuristic in like 2020. Like,
and
they caught up to that sound, you know.
They produced for timeless music, you know what I'm saying? And I mean, even if we go all the way back to the Quincy Joneses, like, those are the people who produced for timeless music. It's not just like, oh, what's hot right now, let me produce it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, like they produce for timeless music. So you still hear a Timbaland beat and you're like, oh my goodness. You still hear Pharrell beat and those chords that he uses. And you're like, oh my goodness.
Like, I'm still listening to, like, sometimes in my car, like, I'll put on the Nelly Furtado album where she had Promiscuous, and
that's a great album.
Yeah.
It's like still just like, you know, like,
that album is fire.
Good. And it's, you know, it's 2020 that came out in
2006. Yeah, 2006.
06. So I know you're saying like you're inspired by certain producers and the way that they kind of stay ahead of the curve. How do you stay ahead of the curve, even though like you are inspired by people who like came out before you? Because I know like sometimes like an artist will come out and you're just kind of like, well, this is kind of cookie cutter. It kind of sounds like everybody else. And then they're like, well, I was inspired by this person. And it's kind of like, yeah, but you just like completely
right.
So like, how do you keep that inspiration but not like rip off the artist and like kind of create your own thing?
Yeah, my thing is music has an identity. Music has an identity. And so I pay attention to the identity of the music that I create. So it's not like, okay, let's say, okay, Nova's music. If I wanted him to sound like a Chris Brown or an Usher or something like that, we would have been sounding like Chris Brown and Usher and getting lost in the sauce. You know what I'm saying? But Nova as an artist has an identity. You know what I'm saying? He can go head to head with those people out there, but his identity and his music is the sound that we create. So when it comes to, you know, maintaining the inspiration in an industry that, you know, is transitioning and changing all the time,
right,
is paying attention to the identity of the music. Timbaland has an identity. Pharrell has an identity. Kanye, even now, has an identity. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has their identity. And so once you pay attention to the identity of the artist and their music, that's what keeps you ahead of the curve, because it's just like the music that you're creating right now doesn't sound just like what's hot right now, but it bangs right next to it. You know what I'm saying? And my whole goal is to create the music that's timeless, having that mentality. It's like, okay, I want the song that we create today to be fired 20 years from now. You know what I'm saying? I want somebody to turn it on and be like, yo, remember back in 2020 when, you know what I'm saying, this record was playing? You know what I'm saying? I want my kids to listen to a record and be like, yo, you produce this is crazy, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's one of those things, is paying attention to the identity of the music and creating it with passion, and then thinking timeless. Like you said, forward thinking. forward thinking. I want this to be hot 20 years from now. How can I create that inspiration? And then that's where that emotion and passion, everything comes in behind it. Because once you relate to somebody, people gonna remember the song forever.
Yeah,
you know?
because they're gonna remember how it made them feel.
Exactly.
Feel where they were,
Yes, exactly. Like their albums I'd still listen to, and I'm like, still feeling what I was
triggers
feeling.
it,
I know. I was like, I was such a sad 15-year-old, but
But that's what it's about. Once you write a song that can relate, or people can relate to, that's it. Because you listen to it 20 years from now, like you said, you'll feel those feelings, or you'll remember what you were smelling at the time, or you'll remember what you were eating at the time. There's certain songs
where you were, everything.
Exactly. I remember College Dropout, Kanye.
Right,
I remember listening to
that
right there. College Dropout, and I remember the first time I listened to it, I was in my Toyota Corolla, and I remember popping in the CD, and I had like systems all in my car, so it would always bang and everything like that. But every time I listen to it, I think of that Toyota Corolla. Every single time. And that was my first listen to it, Toyota Corolla, and that was it.
I got a quick question for you, because like that's one of my favorite albums of all time. Yeah. What's your favorite song off of that album, and why?
There's so many, man. It's so difficult.
The whole album, right? There's not a bad song.
Right. What's my top record? I'd have to go and like really look at it and see. I can't even answer that question, man.
Okay.
Honestly, I can't, because there was so many great pieces on that record. I mean, on that project, that
skits, interludes, all that.
Yeah, I mean, all of that. Like even the skits were fire. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, having Bernie Mac on there was just like timeless. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And for him to, you know, that's something that helps him live on with people. You know, live on. So you hear that. Wake up, Mr. West. Like, you listen to that, like, you're just like, come on, man. Like, it's nostalgic. It brings you back, you know what I'm saying, to where you were.
What about you, Nova and Stephanie? You guys got a favorite off of that album?
Which one you said? Late Registration, or you said College Dropout?
No, College Dropout.
College Dropout. I'm getting them confused because I was like Good Life, but I don't know if college.
That's Graduation.
That's Graduation. Yeah.
Graduation, right? You see what I'm saying? Like I was listening to all of that. Like The Wire. I don't even know. That was before.
The Wire is College Dropout.
It is on there, but that whole series. That whole series was fire.
04.
Yeah.
Wait, what you said? 04?
03, 04, right?
Yeah, that was 04. Yeah.
Yeah, it was 2004. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's, you know, just...
It seemed like just yesterday, too.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, you think about it now, it's just like, dang, like, I got to go back and listen to that
now.
That
means he did it. That means he did it.
I'll say, like, my favorite off of there, I think, is probably Family Business. Just because, like, like the soulfulness of it and, like, just what he's talking about, like, it just hits my heartstrings.
I want to say, I'm going to be basic and say All Falls Down.
That verse is incredible, yo.
So
yeah, that's
my whole journey with that album. I loved music videos growing up. Like my mom actually, like, this is like really old school, but when I was a kid, my mom had this like VHS tape of like old 80s music videos, and so we would have like John Bon Jovi, Queen, like Cinderella, Genesis, all this stuff on it, and they would just be like all of these music videos. I mean, like we would sit there for hours and hours and hours. And then when I was in middle school, I mean, I'm telling you, like I would come home, it would be TRL. Then I would move to MTV Jams.
Yeah, as I say, MTV Jams, I remember that.
And then at 6 o'clock, it was 106 in Park.
106 in Park.
Yeah.
Hold on, Stephanie, hold on. What was your favorite Lil Bow Wow song?
Little Bow Wow. You like young Little Bow Wow? Like Mike Little Bow Wow?
Like Mike Little Bow Wow?
Honestly, like, it was so long ago. I stopped listening to him, so I have no idea. But all that being said, like, I mean, my afternoons, they'd be like, why don't you do your homework? I'm like, yeah, but like,
the videos.
Right.
I mean, this was like when Beyonce came out with like her, like fucking solo album, and when MTV was good and they were doing like Making the Video.
Oh, that was my favorite show.
I loved Making the Video. Like, I would just sit there for like hours watching that shit. Like, it was just so good. But anyway, to like wrap up my point, like, he had All Falls Down, and I remember that music video when he was like going through the airport. And like back then it was like, I really liked the song because, you know, it was catchy. I didn't quite really like know what it meant. And then one day it was like a year or so after I graduated from college, and I was like, out of nowhere, like it just kind of like popped into my head. So I was like, we're about to put this shit on real quick.
Right.
And I started listening to the lyrics, and I'm like, whoa, what the hell? Like, I didn't even know it was like about that. And it kind of like really resonated with me because I didn't know what the hell I was doing in college. I was like, I was very like insecure as a college student. And so like, I really resonated with like everything that he was saying. And then like, he just kind of really tied those lyrics together just beautifully. And so I think that's a great song.
That's an amazing song.
And I think it's great. I think it's so cool how like, it used to be like an old time favorite. And then I connected with it like on a melodic level. And
personal,
then, years later, when like 2016, from 2004 to 2016, listening to the same song and getting something completely different out of it.
Yeah.
Different, right. That happens all the time.
That's timeless music.
That's how you know it's a good song.
Yeah.
That's timeless music, man. When you can connect with it again, not even at the same level, because everybody changes, everybody grows. You connect with it on a whole different level 20 years later. Like, crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Real.
But see, that goes back to that relatability factor we were talking about earlier.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
true. Yeah, for sure.
To the music. So speaking of that, like, Devin, what would be like some advice you would give like an artist on how they can like find their identity in the music? Because that could be very hard for like a young artist, or sometimes maybe even an older artist that like maybe the sound isn't dumb anymore, the current sound, but they're still trying to keep their sound relevant, but they're still trying to stay true to who they are. Like, what do you think like can help artists like with like, you know, having an identity crisis?
What I realize when it comes to relatability, it's what you can relate to as an artist, you personally, you know what I'm saying? So like, if you have, you know, something going on in life right now, and, you know, you're dealing with relationship issues, somebody's going to relate to those relationship issues. You know what I'm saying? If you're struggling, you live in the hood, whatever it may be, somebody's going to relate to that. So I think a lot of people run into those identity crisis situations when they're trying to be someone they're not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to an artist, you know, who, you know, let's say I work with an artist or whatever, and we have a conversation about, you know, that question that I asked, like, how are you feeling right now? And they present how they're feeling. We write on that because they relate to that feeling. You know what I'm saying? Right. They relate to it, and somebody's going to relate to that feeling as well. And so what I can say to an artist that is looking for, I guess, a kickstart in creating and coming up with that music that people can relate to, pay attention to your surroundings. You know what I'm saying? Pay attention to what's around you. What's your inspiration? What did you wake up and see? What did you wake up and feel? You know what I'm saying? Like, what was a thought that crossed your mind, you know, just 5 minutes ago? You know, something that you relate to, something that you can touch. Because when it's, I always call it, when it's mentally tangible, people can feel that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When it's tangible, even in the music, people can feel it. So like when you're connecting with something, when you connect with something in your music, somebody also is going to connect with it. You know what I'm saying? But if you're being fake, you being fugazi, like the people
and
gonna
people
feel
will
that.
pick it up too.
And
they will pick it up. Yeah,
that's
people
true.
Gonna know, like, you know, like I don't know, I just something doesn't sit right in this song. Like I don't feel the connection of what is being said to the artist. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah,
and so
because like it'll just come off like real goofy. You know what I'm saying? Like
or just basic. I mean,
or basic,
basic,
like,
generic.
Well, you know, like, I mean, I'm not trying to like call out. I mean, they're just certain artists, like pop artists, and they kind of just make all of the same music, and they're just very like generic and bubblegum, and it's just kind of like, I mean, it sounds good and it's not terrible, like it's not a record scratching, but you can only get like so many listens out of that kind of music before it just kind of gets old and stale.
Because you don't relate to it. Like you said, you don't relate to it. Like you'll listen to it, wow, that sounds really good. Yeah, they can sing, but then once it's over, it's over.
Yeah.
Because you didn't connect with it. Those songs that you sit down and listen to and it makes you feel something, or it makes you remember something, or it makes you connect in some kind of way to a memory that you had, or whatever it may be. Those are the songs that
feel good.
Yeah, makes you feel good. Yeah. Those are the songs that you play on repeat, or you play when you want to feel good. It's like music's like a drug, you know what I'm saying? And I hate to put it that way, but it is.
Yeah.
You know, like, okay, if I want to feel good, I know I want to turn this song on. If I'm in my feelings, I know I'm gonna throw this song on.
Exactly.
If I just want to zone out, I'm gonna throw this song on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's what if to answer your question, if I ran across an artist, or if there's someone listening right now who's just dealing with, you know, coming up with inspiration or coming up with song ideas that they feel their listeners are going to connect with, I say pay attention to your atmosphere. Pay attention to what's around you. Like, almost if you have to disconnect from wanting to write or put whatever down and just go out into your atmosphere.
Yeah, go live life.
Pull that inspiration. Yeah, because that's what it is. That's what music is. Music is your life presented. You know what I'm saying? So like, okay, you got relationship issues right now and you're feeling it and it's hurting or whatever it may be. Write about those things. Write about those things. Even if you don't, you know, you may not want to sing it or you may not want to do it. You write it down and you put something to it and have somebody else present it for you. You know, that's where you can get that itch scratched, or you can get that weight lifted off of your shoulders. So that's what I say, because then a lot of people relate to what you feel too. You can walk up to somebody and say, like, you know what, like, I'm having a hard time at my job. 9 times out of 10, somebody's feeling the same way. Like,
having the same way, right?
I'm having a hard time.
People like that on the daily, so shoot.
And about like, you know, authenticity, my mind just kind of went towards, now I love my girl, but when Rihanna first came out and she had that Unfaithful song, do you remember that?
Wait, hold on, y'all like that song?
Not.
She said,
I don't. I really don't. And
you don't like the way she sung it, or you don't like the lyrics or anything like that?
It's basic. Really I feel it.
I think she sang it beautifully. She has a great voice, always. But I think that song came out when I was in high school.
No. That was like middle school for us.
Middle school? Okay.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know, it just didn't really, like, I didn't really feel, it didn't really like make me feel anything. And then
yeah.
And then I found out her age, and I was like, she was 17 when she made that song. I was like, in my mind, I'm like, what the hell does she know about, like,
that is a very grown woman song.
Yeah, and like she was like 17, and same with like JoJo. I mean, her like Leave Get Out, I was like, if you're like 13, so.
No, that's a TRL classic.
But if you compare like Rihanna's Unfaithful to her Love on the Brain.
That's true. I see what you mean.
Yeah. Those are two completely different kinds.
The thing is, like, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes like there's some songs I originally like, but then the radio and everybody else just plays it out for me, and then I have like this negative like association with it because everyone's outplayed it. Like,
yeah. It comes to that point because if it's not, I would say a great song, if it's not presented properly, can be a dud. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like you got the greatest song in the world you created, blah blah blah. But if it's not presented properly, meaning if you don't have the right person singing it who connects to the song, or if you don't have the right producer producing it, or if you don't have the right marketing team marketing it, like it can turn out to that. You know what I'm saying? And so like that's what it's about. And so like Rihanna's song, when you heard it, obviously you thought in your mind like, she's way too young to understand what she's talking about.
Right.
Which means most likely she probably had a songwriter who was older.
Yeah.
Who wrote the song for
Neo wrote that joint.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. I was like, I think Neo wrote that record, but Neo was older. And
Neo
so I'm sure
wrote
he went through some stuff. He went through some stuff.
Wow.
Right. But I'm saying, like, as far as that's what it is. That's what it
you
is.
a fool,
like, he said, Neo wrote it.
Wow.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, you think about that. You have a right person write a song because they connect with it, but you put it in the hands of somebody who doesn't connect with it. Like, a great song can turn to a dud.
Yeah.
Sadly.
That's a good point.
Sadly.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Well, Devin, thank you so much for stopping by, man.
No
we really
worries,
appreciate the time that you've given us, the knowledge that you dropped on us. Like, you know,
great conversation.
I think a lot of people are gonna,
Right.
a lot of people are gonna be able to take this and apply it to their personal lives as well. But I also wanted to give yourself a chance to shout out any plugins, website, Instagram, where people can follow you, contact you.
Yeah, man. Black Irish Entertainment. Instagram is BlackIrish3NT. So BLACKIRISH 3NT. Black Irish Entertainment. Still building the brand right now. So websites under construction, but yeah, Instagram's always live. So you can hit me up. Emails on there as well. So you can see that blackirishent@gmail.com. So that's it, man. I appreciate y'all for having this. It's a great platform for music to be talked about, man. I mean, all kind of stuff, all creative atmospheres and industries to be talked about. So this is fire. Thanks for letting me be a part.
We appreciate you for coming on again, man, and dropping all that
100,
knowledge.
For sure. I appreciate
nice meeting you.
Indeed.
Nice meeting you, bro.